Hey guys, this is Woodrow from COC, and you're watching CMS TV. Crank it up.
It is Chris Aiken Presents, and I, of course, am Chris Aiken. And today on the show, we are talking about a very early candidate for Album of the Year. This thing is a monster. It is, I can't even believe I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it to him in a minute. I'll say it to you guys that are listening right now. This is quite possibly the best album from a band that's been going for 30 whatever years at this point. It is called Good God, Baad Man. It's long. You don't get bored. It's fantastic. It's out on April 3rd. And here to talk all about it is the anchor of Corrosion of Conformity. He is Woody Weatherman. Woody, how are you, man?
I am fantastic, buddy. Thank you so much for having me. And what an introduction to the new album, man. I appreciate that.
Well, I'm not just saying it because I'm talking to you. And I swear I'm not. I only got the album a few days ago. So maybe in a year it'll wear down a little bit and Wise Blood will jump back to the top for me. But for right now, I just can't even believe that you guys have found this much energy and this much punch musically that you have. Let's start there, man. Talk about not so much the songs themselves, but just the vibe that you guys caught this time, because it's very, like, the last record was really good. No Cross, No Crown was a very good record.
Right.
I personally didn't feel the vibe that I feel here. Like, something's different. I know there's different guys, but something feels different. What was it?
I agree with you. I mean, that the last album was okay, whatever. It's not something I look back on and think, man, that was a great. But the new record has so much to it. I mean, it's got a little bit of all periods of COC in there. A little bit of going back to the really old days, and a little bit of passing through Volume Dealer and rolling right past Wise Blood and all that stuff. It's got a little bit, but I think the secret to this record was Pepper and I had such a good time making it. We were just, we had smiles on our face. We're laughing. We had a big bucket of beer over here. And when we started writing it, it was just he and I, and sitting down in the Black Shack, having a guitar surrounding us, little amps sticking on, use what you want. And we're just having a blast. And I think it wound up making its way onto the record, the good times we were having, and it was made. We made this record basically completely different than we normally make a COC record.
Sure.
Like usually it's four guys and we're in our jam room and we're rocking and creating that music that way. This time it was just Keenan and I, button heads, nobody to tell us no, and just laughing all the way through it and having a blast. And I would love to make another record in the same way, and but. I think at the end of the day, if you're not having fun doing it, why mess with it?
Sure. Well, and that's one of those things with you guys. You guys are not, and never have been, unless I'm missing something. You've never been one of those bands that's been schedule-y. Every 2 years we put out a record, then we tour for 6 months or a year. You guys do it when you feel like doing it, and you kind of always have. And I think that's what's kept your music kind of at a high level, is you've never really let the record companies or the management people or whoever pressure you to be COC. Does that make sense?
Right. It does, and it's true. That's a true story. Like this time around, we got started on it, and Nuclear Blast, our label, Monty Connor, we've been working with him for many years, but one of the first things out of his mouth, because he knows the band anyway, and I doubt it, but he was like, look, it doesn't matter when you're done, just make a good record. And people don't really necessarily remember what day a record came out, they remember if it's a good album.
Right.
And so it's nice to have that kind of freedom, have a record label that kind of, they're on our plane, if you will, with that kind of stuff. And it is true. We've never been on a schedule. Like, we get done touring, it's like, okay, boys, we're back in the studio next month and let's do it. We don't really, that's not how COC operates.
Right. Well, is it difficult? And this last one before we talk about the record, but is it difficult for you personally as a creative guy to wait a lot of the time? I mean, obviously Pepper has had Down, and
Sure.
Down has been very successful. Has
Yeah.
that been difficult for you, as a creative guy to kind of wait while, that has its own album cycle and timeline and run and whatnot? Is that difficult for you?
It's not difficult for me. I don't really have any other musical projects other than just jamming and stuff. But I've got other stuff that keep me busy. So
Right.
I live on a cattle farm. I raise cattle, so
Okay.
I always have something going on here. But whenever the time comes to make a COC record and do all that, I'm all in.
Sure.
It's relentless, and we make it happen. Like all this week, we've been working on another video for the record. We're doing the next single is going to be, well, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this or not, but anyway, the next single is off the new record, which
Okay.
is surprising. But we've been working on another video. We the third video already for this album, so we stay busy, and we're getting
Absolutely.
ready to tour forever. So
On you go. The
onward
cattle
and
will be
upward. Yeah,
lonely.
right. Yes.
Right on. Well, Woody, obviously two fairly major changes since the last record.
Right.
Obviously, Reed passing, horrible. You
Right.
know, let's talk there quickly.
Sure.
How do you move on from that? I mean that's difficult for somebody that's been with you for, life, really.
Yeah, I mean, Reed and I went to high school together and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, and that was around the time we started the band with Mike, and so it's heavy, losing a brother like that. The one thing about losing Reed, he passed away in 2020 for those your listeners that don't know,
Mhm.
but it wasn't entirely unexpected. He had health issues and stuff, but it's still really tough. And he wasn't actually traveling with us. The
Right.
band was in Australia at the time of his passing, and it hit us heavy,
Sure.
because we're over there playing shows and but one thing about Reed I'll mention before we move on to something else was making this record, with Stanton. There was just so many times where when we're recording the drums, we're in the studio, we're like looking at each other, and it's like, man, that little lick that Stanton just did it sounds like something just like what Reed would do. It's
Right.
like, and I don't know whether it was Stanton, giving his nod to Mullin, because Stanton is fantastic in his own right. But it just sort of felt like Reed was there with us, even though he wasn't physically there. So he's hanging around. I don't
Sure.
know if he's laughing at us, giving us the middle finger or the thumbs up, but he's hanging around.
Right on. And then obviously Mike leaving is was a big shock. Honestly,
Yeah.
it might not have been to you guys as much as it does to us
It,
fans, but it was
well,
like, wow.
it was a shock. It was a shock to us because we were getting ready to buckle down and do the record, and he made the decision. It was an amicable deal. We're
Hmm.
bros, but he's got a studio and he wanted to spend more time in his production work, and he produces bands, and he's got another music project he's working on, and it was I'm sure it was a tough decision for him, but it was a surprise to Pepper and I, because we were already talking about the record and making plans and stuff. But man, things like that happen sometimes. People want to move in a direction, and more power to Mike. He's a amazing musician. It was tough to have him pull out of the band, but we got Bobby Rock
Sure.
in the mix now, and he's another one of those guys that's like a true musician. And I
Hmm.
always say he actually knows kind of like Mike, he actually knows what notes he's playing and what key he's in.
Right. Well, I'm curious about that, about Bobby specifically, but because Stanton's been there for a little while with you guys, but did Bobby being in the band change? Maybe that might be a part of the change in vibe this time, because you get a little bit of new energy that's fresh. And I'm not saying that what Mike was doing
Yeah,
wasn't fresh, but you get a fresh vibe into
you
the
do.
band.
You do. And Bobby, he's a guitar player first, really, but he's an
Okay.
amazing bass player. But he differs in his approach to how he wants to lock in rock solid with the drums. That's his
Sure.
approach. Being on the bass, he's like, I'm going to play and I'm going to lock in with the drummer, and that's his approach. And Mike had a slightly different approach. He was, he attacked the bass like a beast,
Right.
and Bobby does as well. But he's more locked into that kick snare, and he wants to make it rock solid. So that's a slightly different vibe.
Right on. Look at your screen right now. If you're tired of the hide and seek games with big tech, where links disappear and episodes get throttled, I've got the fix. I'm Chris Aiken, and it's time for me to show you how to take back your access to the Classic Metal Show, the Seth Williams Show, and Chris Aiken Presents. Pick up your phone, go to the App Store or Google Play, and download the Locals app. It is 100% free. Once you're in, just search for the CMS Network. You're going to see everything. Every interview, every unfiltered rant, every deep dive music discussion, every uncensored news article we put up, all in one centralized, uncensored hub. No more chasing links across 5 different socials. This is our home. But if you really want the keys to the kingdom, look for that VIP upgrade. For just $4.99 a month, you're cutting out the commercials, getting the advanced drops before anyone else, and accessing bonus episodes that are way too heavy, dirty, or we just don't want to share with the free public. For the price of a cheap beer, you're supporting independent, unapologetic media. Download the Locals app today. Get some CMS wherever you are. And if you're a real one, join the VIP squad at classicmetalshow.locals.com. The Classic Metal Show and the CMS Network. It's uncensored. It's unapologetic. We will see you there. Well, let's dig into the record, Woody. Obviously, for people that don't know this, I shouldn't say obviously, but the record is divided into 2 sides. You've got the Good God side, you've got the Baad Man side. It's kind of like the really heavier COC is this side, and then the kind of rock and roll side is the Baad Man side. Tell me about that. Was that the plan, or did you just have so much music that you sort of needed to kind of put these songs over here and these over here?
I mean, it's a double album because there's so much material, but we were not that far into the project where we decided, hey, we got a lot of stuff. There's different vibes on these songs. There's different vibes here. It's going to be a double album because the opportunity was presented to us early on by Nuclear Blast. They were like, man, you guys really could do 2 different releases. And we were like, no, this thing flows. It's got, we're going to keep them together. It's kind of a double album, but they're going to, Good God and the Baad Man, it's like, and it was early on, during the writing process that we figured out, hey, we're not going to do 2 separate things. It's going to be one project,
Sure. Are you partial to one style or the other? Because it really does, as a whole, it flows fantastic. It really is great, but it's one of those rare records, at least to me, rare albums that you can really, most albums, you listen to it start to finish. If you're old like us and you listen to an album, you listen to it start to finish.
Sure.
This is one of those that you can do that, and you definitely will get that vibe, but you can also listen to half. You can get like 30, 40 minutes of this style and stop, and then tomorrow listen, and it's like a whole different experience.
There you go.
It's very unique. Are you partial to one side or the other?
Well, yeah, Pepper and I were laughing about, and I am. We were laughing at each other and going, man, there's going to be people that like, I'm a Good God man, and there's and I'm a, Good God, I'm a Baad Man guy,
Right?
Because we were thinking back to a record that Black Flag put out a long number of years ago called My War.
Right.
And so, are you a side 1 guy or a side 2 guy? Most people are like, I'm side 2. They even made shirts that said side 2 on the back, and we were like, this is kind of the same vibe. And I think I'm a Baad Man guy. We'll see. It might change, but we'll find out later when I give it more spins. Right now, I'm taking a break from listening to it. I haven't listened to the record in a while. I'm gonna wait till I've got the got it in my head and go back and give it a real once over. I've listened to tracks here and there because we've been working on it, and we're going to play some tracks live. So, but I'm a Baad Man guy right
There
now.
you
We'll
go.
see what everybody else thinks.
Right on. Well, let's talk about a song or two here. I want to start with Bringing Back More. Or not Bringing Back More. What am I
Give me
saying
some
here? Give
more.
me some more.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, you guys, that song sounds like the very oldest COC to me. It's very,
Yeah.
very vibey of that era. But then you brought in Al Jorgensen from Ministry, and you bring in Monty from what's he, Madonna's guitar. I mean, I know he's also done Prong and other stuff, but
Yeah.
with
Well, he's
when
in ministry as well. But yeah, they,
right,
they came by the studio one time and, uh, you know, we were like, oh, why don't you guys just do some barking on this? And Al, he's awesome. He's always got an idea. So that little
sure,
that was his thing, and so we left it on the record. It's just and Pepper had gone and done something for a few months back with one of their tracks, gone and sang on it. So Al was just giving it back to us.
right on. Now, one of the things I've read, Woody, in the press was that a lot of the writing that you guys did outside, just for the writing portion of it, was
Right.
done while you guys kind of loaded up on classic rock, ZZ Top, Neil Young, that you were kind of listening to as you were putting things together. Did I'm going to speak from an outsider's point, and you tell me where I'm right or wrong on this.
Okay.
It seems weird to me that you guys who have a very distinct sound would look for influence outside of your own 30 plus year history to find creative inspiration.
Well, that's you gotta. We've always done that. Like
Okay.
what are you all that's where you find your way. Your path, your rock and roll path.
Right on.
And so we would take a break, and go sit on the porch out there and have a cigar and another cold beer or something, and throw some vinyl on. And one of the funny things and how we wound up doing the free song, Fire and Water. We put that out as a Riffissippi jam sessions or
Right.
whatever. But we were sitting there and Pepper threw the free record on, and it comes on, and Stanton was like, "What's this?" We were like, "Dude, that's free."
Right.
And he was like, "I've never heard this." And Stanton thinks, "Man, we should like learn this real quick and record it." And we were like, "Really?" And we did, and that's how it came about. We were doing the Riffissippi jam sessions, and there's another couple that well, we did the Fear song, which already
Mm-hmm.
came out as on that 7-inch, and there's another one in the works that's already done, long
Okay.
done. There's demos and stuff, but I mean, that's how we get inspiration sometimes, listening to our favorite bands that influenced us early in the days, and we remember it, and throwing on old slabs of vinyl is always fun.
Sure. You mentioned Stanton a couple times. I did have a Stanton question for you. He's not a standard type of a metal drummer.
No,
He's very, I'm gonna call him very New Orleans, which I think makes sense. He's got that swing. There's a certain swing to drumming that you can hear in just about any band that comes out of New Orleans. He has that. Does that change how you and Pepper approach the guitar? Maybe not the soloing as much as, but the riffs themselves, that carry the song based on his swing versus, past in the past.
right. Stanton has an amazing swing because I mean he's a jazz drummer.
Right.
That's what he does. That's how he makes his living. He's in jazz bands. His band he's had for over 30 years, Galactic, is. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether to call him funk or jazz, but anyway, that's his life. That's where he comes from. But he also has a hard rock background. He's been friends with Keenan for 120 years or something. They kind of
Right.
grew up in the same environment, and it's just a pleasure to be able to play with somebody that focused. He did "In the Arms of God" record. He was the drummer on that as well back in '05. So he's not new to the COC world, but he doesn't he doesn't play rock much
Okay.
except for when he comes and jams with us. Like that's his time to play the metal and the rock, and
Sure.
there's something about swing. COC we wouldn't sound like going back to Mullen again. It was look, we've always had a swing,
Mm-hmm.
and we can't get away from it. That's what drives us.
Sure.
It's got to, there's no straight ahead kind of stuff when it comes to Corrosion. You got to have that swing, and Stanton's another one of those guys that can do it. And it's.
Sure.
I don't think having Stanton didn't necessarily change the way we write riffs, but we know what Stanton's capable of. So
Sure.
we hand him the tough riffs, and he makes it happen.
They say you should never look back, but I've never been good at following orders. I'm Chris Aiken, and while most of you know me for the radio and the interviews, I've got a past that would make social justice warriors' heads explode. My latest book, and Other Things I Should Not Say, isn't a self-help manual. It's an autopsy of the years 1986 to 1990. 4 years of sex, booze, and absolute chaos while I was serving in the military in Korea and California. I'm talking about stories that stay buried in the back of your memory because society tells you they're wrong and ugly. Well, I don't live in fear of my past. Every filthy, calloused, and ridiculous moment in this book actually happened, and I'm damn proud to share it. If you're easily offended, keep walking, pal. But if you want to see what happens when you pack a lifetime of dangerous living into just 4 years, head over to Amazon.com or just go to the link in the description and grab yourself a copy today. Both middle fingers are up and the truth is right here. Get some CMS, uncensored, and Other Things I Should Not Say is the book, and it is sure to offend and sicken and make you laugh like you never have before. Do you think maybe I'll flip my question around. Do you think maybe he adapts to what you guys do when he comes to play with you?
A little bit, sure, because he knows, he turns into John Bonham real quick.
Right.
You know what I mean? Whereas, and he does it a little bit on some of his stuff. I've seen some recent videos where, he's kind of playing with some jazz guys, and he'll throw some heavy beats in there. And I'm like, man, that's coming out, man. The Bonham's coming out at the jazz gig, But the funny thing is, so many of the old rock drummers, Bill Ward, Sabbath, big jazz guys,
Sure.
Bonham, they studied jazz. And so it totally makes sense to have Stanton, come in and play this heavy rock with us, because some of our favorite drummers that were in rock bands were heavily jazz influenced.
Sure. It's funny. I literally interviewed Vinny Appice yesterday and his brother Carmine the week before. So I've been talking a lot of drums in the last couple of weeks.
Nice.
And both of those guys feel, and I'm curious what you think, we feel like these drummers today, the modern drummers, they're skill-wise, they're probably better than at any time in the history of rock. But almost none of them have that swing. Like it's all cut and pasty sounding. Like, you know as well as I do, and you just mentioned a few. I'll throw Steven Adler in here as well. Like when you hear the difference between Appetite for Destruction and Use Your Illusion, just the drummer makes a huge difference in the sound, and because of this, the difference in swing. Do you think that the modern drumming has not paid enough attention to what you guys and everybody has created in the past to feel that?
I think technology has changed so much of music in the music world. There's a lot of people that follow click tracks, and that's that's their life. I couldn't follow a click track if if I was paid a lot of money. I'd be like, I can't do that, because so much of what I love is the push and pull of drummers can just change the entire landscape of a song by how, and we love doing that. Like especially live, we take it even further, like the pullbacks and you call it retarding the song, like slowing and bringing it back, but it's always got to kind of be behind the beat. Like that's sort of how we treat it. But yeah, I mean, some of the modern stuff, like modern metal, it's for me personally, so much of it is just too. It's too perfect. Like I like hearing a little flub up here and there.
Sure.
It makes it real. And so much shit is just too
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't even know the name of it, but
And
it's
double based or what? Yeah. I mean, it's,
it is what it is, and
mhm.
but for me, yeah, I think some of these drummers might want to get a little more swing and
Right. I hear you. Well, Woody, obviously, you mentioned at the beginning, you're going to be what you are, touring dogs coming up here. Talk a little bit about what's coming up for the rest of the year as far as being out there on the road.
yeah, the record comes out April 3rd. Our first show is April 7th. So we're
Okay.
not wasting any time. We're giving it a 4-day window, but we're going to be out there. Nick Shabatura is going to be on the road drumming with us.
Okay.
Speaking of dudes that can hit hard and
Sure.
swing, he's another one. He's out of Chicago. He's fantastic. We would have never known about him if Charlie Benante hadn't have sent him our way.
Okay.
Charlie got wind we were looking for a touring drummer, and he's like, "I got the guy for you."
Okay.
Nick Shabatura from Chicago, and sure enough, he came down to New Orleans, and this is a couple weeks ago, and just killed it. So he's going to be out with us. Uh, Bunch of headline dates. We're doing a little string of shows with our buddies in Clutch, which we've done before, years back. But love touring with those guys. They're a good bunch, and then just more and more and more. We're planning all the way out to into 2027 now. So we're a lot of stuff. We just announced some West Coast dates yesterday, and they'll be going to Europe, doing those festival dates that
Right.
everybody loves to go and do, the giant festivals with 400 bands on them, and we
Right
like
on.
it. It's fun, but it's a trip. And
Right
just a
on.
lot of touring. We're going to support this record as long as we can.
Well, it's a long record. You got to put in double the time, right?
Yeah, you do. You do. Double record means you got to tour twice as long. That's
That's
right.
right. Well, man, it is always great to catch up. It's always great to catch up when there's such a great record. I strongly recommend everybody pre-order this now or just buy it when it comes out. Don't just stream it, people. That sucks. It doesn't help these guys in their living if you're just playing it on Spotify. Where is the best place for people to go to keep up with you guys, Woody, and to buy it and all that stuff? Is it the label or
Yeah, no, well, yeah, label, Nuclear Blast guys, but we got the COC.com with all our, tour dates, all the links to all the stuff. Everybody's got a website, but it'll take you to all the various Facebooks and all that kind of mess. But they can find, if they're looking for info on COC, COC.com's the spot to go.
All right, excellent. Well, one more time, the new album, Good God, Baad Man. April
That's right.
3rd is the date. Corrosion of Conformity is the band. And Woody, this is fun as always, man. Thanks for joining me here on Chris Aiken Presents.
Thank you, brother.
Step back into time and flip into fun at Pinball PA, the ultimate arcade and museum where classic games come alive. Located off Broadhead Road in the Hopewell Shopping Center, Pinball PA invites you to play with 400 pinball machines and video games, from rare gems to your all-time favorites like Pac Man, Space Invaders, Asteroids, Frogger, and the latest pinball hits. Perfect for families, friends, field trips, birthdays, and gamers of all ages, Pinball PA is open Tuesdays through Sundays with unlimited play for one low price. No quarters needed. Learn more at pinballpa.com.